Hello there folks, welcome back to my channel, probably for the last time here in 2023. I'm the Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel. Now I know it's traditional or certainly common amongst video creators here on YouTube to make end of year top 10 and top 20 lists and things of that nature. And I wasn't going to do it, and I guess I'm not actually going to do it. But what I've got here is a whole bunch of games that I want to talk about. And I want to talk a little bit about how the year has gone here on the channel. I want to talk a little bit about things that I have achieved personally in the arena of this hobby over the last 365 days, and maybe touch upon some of the games that I've covered on the channel that I think have been particularly well received or that I enjoyed in particular. So I think this is going to be a longish video. You're going to see over the course of this video all of these games. It's worth pointing out at this stage that the majority of these games I haven't played. I'm going to use this video as an opportunity to highlight some of the games that I've purchased or been sent that I haven't yet had a chance to play, because I acquire far more games than I can realistically cover on the channel. So today you'll see some games that I have covered, but mostly games that I have not yet covered, and I'm going to split the video down into the following sections. First of all, we're going to do 5 games I have not yet played, but I'm really looking forward to. Then after that, we're going to do 5 beautiful things. They're games or resources that are nice to look at that I've acquired this year. Then we're going to switch over to my computer, and I'm going to look at some crowdfunding campaign pages for 5 games that I have crowdfunded that I'm looking forward to next year. Then we're going to do 5 of the best games featured on this channel, and then finally just some random personal hobby stuff about this channel and other stuff that I wanted to highlight that I've done this year. So if that sounds like fun, settle in. We will get started with 5 games that I have not yet played that I really want to. Here we go. Alright, so here we are with category number 1. I should point out that all of these things, all of these games and books, I have acquired during the course of 2023. I'm fairly sure. And I've got to imagine that next year the rate of acquisition has to abet slightly. I could stop gaining games right now and certainly have enough new interesting games to feature on the channel for the next year, and I would say I probably have enough games to play and keep me busy for a lifetime. So I am trying to slow down a little bit, but that said, I'm a sucker for lovely games, I'm a sucker for interesting systems, and if I see something that's moderately affordable and exciting, then I'm going to go ahead and get it, just for the pleasure of owning these things. So this first category, if I didn't say it already, I think I might have done, is games not yet played. These are just games that I've got this year but I haven't had a chance to play yet. And there's games in the other categories as well, frankly, that I haven't played. Certainly in the beautiful things category there's games that I haven't played. But the reason why I've picked these 5 games is because I really want to play them. So let's get into it. No particular order whatsoever. I'm just going to start with Doom Pilgrim. So Doom Pilgrim is a game from Warclaw Games. A chap called Warclaw Treyer makes this game, and it is comprised of this great big chunky set of cards that have these fantastic illustrations on the back. And then on the other side, we've got text describing various events. And we've got the instructions written around the back and sides of the game. There's no instruction manual inside it. This world is doomed. How about you? To undertake the destiny of a doubtful hero, take the deck, picture side up. This represents your future. And then you just you pick a certain number of cards and you go through them and you have an adventure based upon those cards. These cards look absolutely fantastic. Warclaw very kindly sent me a copy of this game, which was very welcome because it is made through GameCrafter, the website in America. And while I have bought a couple of things on GameCrafter, they tend to be the smaller games, the Grey Gnome tin games, for example. And this one, with all these cards, is quite expensive. If you don't live in the US, which I don't, I live in the UK. So I was never going to be able to get this game myself, or at least I wouldn't have been able to justify it given the amount of money I spend on games anyway. But I've always fancied having a copy, so I was delighted to be sent it by Warclaw, and I'm looking forward very much to featuring it on the channel. It's got this super spooky art, and the idea is you look at two pictures and you make a decision, or I can't remember, maybe you look at two, maybe you look at three, I'm not sure, but you look at the illustrations and you decide which one you want to encounter based upon the illustrations. And then once you've chosen, you flip it over and it tells you what to do and what you're encountering. So that is Doom Pilgrim. I'm in the process of learning that one right now. It's a fantastic little adventure game. A rules-light, open-world adventure in a medieval, grimdark setting. Coming soon to the channel. Next up, we have got Destiny Quest. And Destiny Quest is in this pile because, first of all, I want to play it. And second of all, it's just a little reminder to myself and to you that I like featuring and playing game books. And this is one of the ones that I've got that I haven't even opened yet, let alone featured on the channel. This Destiny Quest book is called The Legion of Shadow. With only a sword and a backpack to your name, you must discover your destiny in an unfamiliar world full of monsters and magic. The Legion of Shadow is on the march and must be stopped. As you guide your hero through this epic adventure, you will choose the danger that they face, the monsters that they fight, and the treasures that they find. Every decision that you make will have an impact on the story and ultimately the fate of your hero. With hundreds of special items to discover, you can completely customize your hero. You can choose their weapons, their armor, their special abilities, even the boots on their feet and the cloak on their back. No two heroes will ever be alike, which means your story will always be unfolding. So it's a substantial adventure book. I think it's one that is mechanically has some differences to other ones. We've got a little map here with some numbers on, not sure how that works. I think you have like save points. We've got multiple maps, look at that. So look, you can navigate through the map and go to different locations that way. I think that's pretty cool. Certainly in the Fabled Lands series, which is also awesome, which I would also like to feature on the channel. Part of the issue can sometimes be you gain a quest down here and it says, oh, you've got to go over there to complete the quest. Then you've got to navigate through all of the chapters and locations until you get to that point, and you've got to remember where you're going and where it is and where to go when you get there. And sometimes I find that makes that sort of open world adventure book quite challenging. So I think this little map system is going to make it all the more pleasurable to play. And we've got, I mean, how many here? We've got over 1,000? No, just under 1,000 entries in this book as you're navigating around this world. So yeah, hopefully in 2023, no, that's this year, 2024, I will be featuring Destiny Quest, or at the very least some other adventure game book, so that we can keep our eye in on adventure game books and not forget them on the channel. Next up, we've got some books from Black Oath Entertainment. Now, Black Oath Entertainment, to my knowledge, is essentially a one-man show, certainly in terms of the game design and the creative force behind it. Alex T is the designer of these games, and he very kindly sent me these copies. We've got Sacrifice, Broken Shores, and Rift Breakers. And these are three distinctive role-playing games set in different worlds. They are all quite dark in terms of their style and the worlds that they are set in. Slightly less so, I think, with Rift Breakers, which I haven't even opened yet hardly. And the reason why I'm excited about these games is that they are almost solo first, certainly very dedicated to being accessible, usable and enjoyable for solo gamers. I started with Broken Shores. I have been playing a bit of Broken Shores. I don't know where my game sheets are, they must be somewhere else. And this is set in a sort of a drowned world, a different world, but one that is also sort of post-apocalyptic. Society is broken down, the planet has become flooded, a la Waterworld, and you find yourself in this environment with strange magic and gods and stuff like that. That's the one I started with. If Aquas Bane has done a playthrough of this game already, that is fantastic. I will put a link up in the corner of the screen to Ithacquis's playthrough. And this is very possibly the one that I'm going to come to first as well, simply because it's the one that I've actually made a real effort to start learning. I have done some reading of Sacrifice as well, and this one is also super cool looking, fantastic art all the way through with Alex T's products. Loads of tables, loads of support for the solo player, and just really interesting looking games. I mean, I like an RPG or a solo game that gives you a well realised, interesting and sort of differentiated world in which they are set, and these ones definitely do that. I mean, Rift Breakers is a chunky one. It's 300 pages, and this is Alex's more sort of traditional fantasy game, I guess, although I am sure, knowing his approach to game design, there will be stuff in here that makes it unique. Got some colour art in here, that's pretty awesome. Look at that. I'm not going to get into too much because I don't know what I'm talking about, but we've got crafting rules there, landmark descriptors, underground cave system, overall descriptions. It is huge, and there's a lot there. So as I sort of progress my journey of solo gaming, as I move into doing games that afford the player a bit more independence and require a bit more creativity, this is the sort of thing I'm going to be looking for. I'm super excited to get into it. I'm very pleased to be able to show you these books on the channel for the first time today, because, as I said, I was delighted that Alex sent them to me, and I'm excited to feature them. So there you go. That is Sacrifice, Broken Shores and Rift Breakers. Next up, we've got Morkborg. So finally this year, I've been dancing around Morkborg for a year or two, wanting to pick it up purely because, I mean, look at it. Look at this gorgeous little book. And also, just I was aware that it's a very solo, accessible game. In no small part because of the solo resources that have been made for it. There's Solitary Defilement, which I've just realised is in my rucksack upstairs because I took it with me to read when I went to visit a friend a few weeks ago, and I haven't got it back out of the rucksack yet. So Solitary Defilement and Solitary Depths from Chocolips make this game very solo accessible, And it's a very simple rule set, and also, as you can see, comes with lots of tables, comes with a very loosely outlined but evocative world, and it's just a nice thing, isn't it? Look at it, look at this crazy layout. And the other good thing about Morkborg is that it is very generous with its third-party license. Anyone can make resources for this game, and a lot of people have, so there's a lot of stuff accessible. And I've got this cult ferretry as well, which has got loads and loads of interesting, I think, community-made resources in, but then this was brought together by the Morkborg core team, I think. And this comes with a dedicated little solo game called Dark Fort, which I hope to play as well. So, I mean, Morkborg 2024, Year of Morkborg, and I'm looking forward to it. And the final game in the not yet played section, this is going to be a long video, is Starship Scavengers. Now, this is a game from Stephen Hart at the Grinning Frog Games. It's a game in which you play a scavenger, going around different places in the universe, space stations, derelict starships, derelict moon bases, that sort of thing. And you're doing it to acquire stuff, I guess, and to not die, and maybe find out some interesting stories along the way. So I have read these rules, but I have not gotten around to playing this game yet. And I definitely want to. I've already played Stephen's other big game, which is Zealite. I know my videos seem to prompt a discussion about whether it's Zealite or Xylite. I really enjoyed that one, and I'm looking forward to this game as well. So we've got a core rules book, and then you have to purchase any number of additional assignment books. And I think this is the basic one, the HMS Brutus, and then there's also Moon Crash. There's another one on Kickstarter at the moment. I haven't backed it personally, simply because I have not yet played these ones. There's always other games I want to back, so sometimes I have to sacrifice stuff that I want. So these assignments, you essentially make your way round them, almost like a choose-your-own-adventure book, I think. So each one comes with some new rules unique to that, or introduced for that assignment, that might be relevant for future assignments, I guess. And then you've got, we're not going to look too closely, but you have maps, like in the HMS Brutus. We've got a map of the ship there, and you have an entry point, an arrival point, and then you make your way round as much as possible for as long as you're willing to, dependent upon your air supply and whether you've been attacked by stuff. And you get to do salvage and hacking in different locations to find data and equipment. It's a different approach. I like the look of it. I don't play a lot of sci-fi games, so hopefully I'll be able to get to this one soon. Alright, that's it for games not yet played. Okay, next up we have a top 5 beautiful things that I've acquired this year. Let's begin with the new expansion to Pauper's Ladder, which is called This Cobbled Isle. So Paul Stapleton is a game designer here in the UK, and he's been creating this game for a couple of years now, I think, called Pauper's Ladder. He makes it completely on his own. He designs it. He does all the illustration. He gets the game in and I guess stocks it maybe in his house and then distributes it around the world from his website. I very much like the art of this game. I think it's a very beautiful game, and I'm excited to have this new little box expansion. I backed it, so I'm also excited that my name appears in this list of thanks at the back of the book. So what does this expansion bring to the game? We have this little ship, the Cutty Wren, and the Cutty Wren moves around the outside of the board and you can go there to purchase stuff, I think, basically, to do some extra purchasing. So let's have a look. I mean, as is often the case with this game, it comes with a whole new bunch of cards. We've got some new virtues. Can't even remember what virtues are, if I'm honest. So each of the characters that the game has introduced so far, and there's quite a few of them, now has an individual quest. So this is a new thing. On Raggy's quest, become a necromantic adept. Turn 3 undead hazards into familiars. The third hazard must have at least 6 strength. Rewards 6 gems. Alright, so we've got those. We've got some new birds. That's always cool. In this game you have a bird companion, and they can do actions for you, and they've each got a special ability. So we've got a bunch of new ones here: a trained alkonost, a trained bowerbird, a magpie, a bluebird, a hummingbird. Just more stuff for the game. We've got some talents and some curses. I think this is a new mechanic where you can have a sort of a beneficial thing, which is a talent, as long as you take a negative, which is a curse. I suspect that's how it works. I don't 100% know. And then what have we got here? The Chandler. I feel like I should know what a Chandler is, but I don't. And cargo. So as the ship moves around the board, you can visit it and purchase cargo. Look at that. That cargo is actually an enemy that you have to fight. Oh, look, and that one's an enemy you have to fight as well. But there you go, some mysterious herbs you can purchase. More mysterious herbs. A mirror. A loaded die. And then finally it also introduces city quests. Or city, not quests, cards. I can't remember the specific name, but now when you visit a city you can have like a city encounter. I think it's encounters. And this didn't exist before. You could visit cities, but you couldn't have an encounter in a city. So we've got a dice den, and that is related to these cards here, I think. We've got these new cards that allow for dice gambling, and a library, and a dubious inn. Given that we are talking about this being a pretty game, let me see if I can bring this up to you so we can have a look at Paul's lovely art. Nice antique store there. An alleyway. Bamboozlers. Bedlam. And buskers. Fantastic. Alright, so that is this cobbled isle. Adds a load of new cool bits and pieces to Pauper's Ladder. Obviously, my hope is to play the game again. I've played the game before. I'll pop a link up in the corner. Hope to play it again with this expansion and the Moon Tower expansion as well. That's number 1. Number 2 is more Morkborg related stuff, and this time I've got Pirate Borg. I love the idea of a pirate themed game. As with the main Morkborg, the benefit that we've got here is that it's a very straightforward and accessible game, and it doesn't help that, like the main Morkborg, this is a game that is super pretty. We've got this lovely embossed cover here on the book. It comes with reference cards that I'll show you in a second that are very nice looking as well. It comes with a map of the Dark Caribbean, which is the setting of Pirate Borg. We've got another side as well with an island. So that is lovely to look at, and the book itself, much like the main Morkborg, has got oodles of tables and ideas in it, just full to the brim of cool ideas and adventure hooks and monsters. And the reason why it's in this category is, of course, because it is so stunningly beautiful. It's got that sort of frenetic Merkborg style to it, where every page is unique and looks different. I think it's possibly a little bit more readable than the main Merkborg. I think that sometimes the fonts in the main book and the layout sort of make it a little bit difficult for me to absorb, but you can get a plain version of the text as well, which is quite handy. But you can see every page is different, every page looks lovely, and that's why it's in this category. We've got some character classes here, obviously, the Buccaneer and the Swashbuckler, and super quick to roll up characters and to end up with an interesting and evocative character. Lots of lovely tables, beautifully laid out. D100 backgrounds, so your pirate could be previously a gambler or a hunter or a philosopher, and that affects your starting money by the looks of things, and something else you might start with. For example, a hunter starts with a hunting knife, a heretic starts with a blasphemous disposition, a grave robber starts with something from a corpse. The alchemy page looks cool. Basically, the whole book looks cool. I don't know when I'm going to get around to actually playing with this, but I'm sure I'll end up using the tables at the very least at some point. And I just like looking through the book. It's just a lovely looking book. We've got an adventure at the back, The Curse of the Skeleton Point, and it's just lovely. A location, Coral Town, with the old lighthouse. It's just a fantastic looking book. I'm absolutely thrilled that I've got it. Oh, and the cards are beautiful as well. These, I guess, are some enemies. I think the other enemies must be over here. I haven't opened this card pack yet. So we've got carnivorous plants. You've got a little sort of quasi-Aztec illustration on one side, and then the details on the other. Then we've got the different ships that you can have, with an illustration on one side and the stats of the ship on the other. Some arcane rituals, with some lovely design work on those, and some objects, I guess some individual items like a mummified monkey head, a skeleton key and a codex tablet. So there you go, came with those cool cards and the map, a lovely beautiful book, Pyroborg. Next up we've got the Lantern, which is a little pamphlet game that comes in this cool envelope. So we've got the pamphlet here. I've played this on the channel recently. I'll pop a link up in the corner or in the description below to my playthrough, and virtually the whole game is in this little pamphlet, and you are exploring a scary forest, trying to avoid a creature, a supernatural creature that is haunting and terrorizing the inhabitants of the forest, and this creature has also taken your loved one, so you are trying to lift the curse of the creature and or find your loved one. And it's all done with minimal rules, and it's all done with a deck of cards. So you draw cards, and the cards that you draw give you locations or things within those locations that you can investigate. So there's lots of mechanics within this game, and so it is surprisingly in-depth given how little there is. The physical copy of the game that I've got also came with some tokens that I had to cut out myself, and it also came with some character cards. Well, a couple of rule cards that you use during the game, and then it came with 8 characters. Each character has a unique sort of ability that slightly adjusts how the game plays, and has some nice evocative artwork. And it is for that reason, for the artwork and the general consistent and pleasing layout, and just this nice presentation in this little envelope, which I found very pleasing. That's the reason why it's found its way onto my list of beautiful things. That is the lantern. So up next we have Lore, the Lands of Loom. So this is a system neutral sort of campaign setting companion to the game Loom, which I covered on the channel. There'll be a link up in the corner or in the description down below, from Shield Dice Studios. The designer is Jay Merritt. Now, I covered the game on my channel, so Jay very kindly sent me this campaign setting book. Let's have a look on the back. Towering mountains pierced by the blade of a god who left. A dried inland sea that reeks of the revenant blight and foul sorcery. A darkening vale corrupted by the night song of pagan witches. Tombs of ash and sand holding secrets that can make a man mad. These and more are in the lands of Loom. So you can see that it's quite a sort of a dark setting for games, and it's got everything you would imagine to have in a campaign setting. So we've got a map somewhere at the front, there it is, and then we've got details of the different regions that are represented on the map, along with some character classes, and you can see how this is sort of designed using a blocky computer style text, artwork that looks a little bit sort of pixelated. It all feels a little bit like a video game. We've even got like loading symbols here and little computer symbols, and these stat blocks kind of look like a video game stat block. And even at the front we've got like coded prompts that you can decode using this keyboard, I guess, up at the top. And yeah, everything you would expect really. So we've got sort of factions, we've got history details, we've got specific locations, and there's an awful lot of details and flavour for this world in here. We've got some random tables. So here we've got prominent NPCs in this region. This is the basin. Prominent NPCs. Let's roll for one, shall we? Number 2 is Wildrad the Waterer, water warrior of the Waypoints. Wildrad is a wild and red-bearded man, tall and wiry. He paces like a titan of old across the basin, bearing a hollow mace. The weapon's large and spherical head is half filled with water, so the sound of sloshing can be heard as Wildrad approaches. He walks from well to well, protecting his brethren from any who would do them harm. And we've got a possible quest from Wildrad. He may be seen running along a pilgrim's path. If so, he will cry for aid. Follow him, and you must defend a nearby well and the pilgrims about it from many revenants. And the Pilgrim's Door, so we've got another sort of dungeony type location by the looks of things. This is Basin City, so we've got the different districts. I mean, there's an awful lot here. I'm getting a little bit absorbed just exploring it for myself, but I think I should probably move on. Some kind of celestial chart. What did I want to show you? This one. The city of Sangrad. So this is multiple tiers to this city. Is there another map then? Maybe not. Look at the old school computer game graphic style design of the map layout that we've got here. I think it's lovely. And it's stuff like this and the overall design of this book that is the reason why I have put this book in my beautiful things that I have not yet got to the table. Common Foes of Loom. I haven't had time to look through this properly, and I'm just getting a little bit absorbed. So let's move on. That is Lore, the Lands of Loom. Alright, so next up we have my most anticipated deliveries in 2024. Since I am a little bit of an addict to tabletop games and independent games that you can play on your own, as you know if you watch my channel, I have quite a few games that I have crowdfunded, mainly on Kickstarter, that will be delivering next year. And I've got a whole raft of games that I plan on backing. You might be thinking, well, you don't have enough time to play all the games that you've got already. But I ascribe to the same philosophy as Daniel from the Dungeon Dive, in that everything is play. Actually getting the games to the table and playing through them is only one way that you can enjoy and play with the games that you purchase. At least that's what I tell myself. I, at least at the moment, enjoy collecting these games, and as long as I can continue and it doesn't become unrealistic in terms of the space that they're taking up, I'll continue to do so. So I have already got Dark Venture. I haven't played it a lot. I would like to play it more. I have my second edition upgrade pack, which I got in the Kickstarter earlier this year, hopefully being delivered to me, well, definitely being delivered to me at some point in 2024. So if you don't know, Dark Venture is a tabletop exploration, fantasy, role-playing game that you can play solo and up to 4 people. You are exploring this strange world of Dark Venture that Rob Lemon has created. He does all the artwork. It has an entirely unique visual style and look that I think Rob has worked hard to cultivate, and it gives the game real character. So let's have a very quick look. So I've backed the upgrade kit, but I've also added on the new bits and pieces that you can get in this Kickstarter. So this is what the game tends to look like on the table. Quite a lot of stuff going on, but you are building up this map, having encounters, tracking and developing your character, completing quests, and trying to score the most points to win the game. So that is Dark Venture. Let me just have a quick look for the additional bits and pieces we've got in here. Yes, so we've got the Crag Pit Arena expansion. The Crag Pit Arena adds new items, characters, locations, and it also adds this arena board where you can go and have gladiatorial type fights with certain enemies, and you can integrate that into the main game, and I think you can use it as a separate sort of game as well. The Alderkang mini expansion, this is also new. The former king of Dark Grange, ousted and murdered in a coup, has miraculously returned. The Alderkang is constructing a powerful army to take back his throne. So this is some new cards, some new locations, some new enemies to fight. And we've also got the Beasts and Monsters mini expansion. I think I'm getting all of these. This mini expansion assembles a collection representing some of the most foul creatures assembled when the magic of the Cataclysm swept through Dark Range. The Cataclysm is this event which mutated everything on this planet, and everything that happens in the game is post-Cataclysm. So we add some more characters, items, locations, and enemies by the looks of things. And you can see Rob's colourful, unique art on these cards. All right, and then a cassette. I don't think I got the cassette. All right, so that's the first one. That is Dark Venture. On to number 2, which is Dangerous Space. So this is the science fiction version of Dungeon Pages. So Dungeon Pages is a game that I have, well, actually, Now I think about it, I have it because of this Kickstarter. It was an add-on on this Kickstarter, so I've got Dungeon Pages already and I've been playing it quite a bit. I've got a playthrough of that ready to go very, very soon, in the next couple of weeks, I would think. And so Dangerous Space is the science fiction version of it. And it's sort of a roll and write, almost like a Sudoku type game, where you are exploring these areas and you are doing so by rolling dice and placing numbers as you go. And this looks to me like it's going to be moderately similar to Dungeon Pages. You have to go from a starting point through to an end point in each section. And this looks like a space station or something. We've got a decomp chamber, a command deck, a laboratory, an armory, and a crew quarters. So I expect it to play quite similarly to Dungeon Pages. You roll the dice, you put the scores on the page, you earn upgrades, you complete missions that might be new. I don't think Dungeon Pages has missions, and you get to the exit. So hopefully it's a new iteration of Dungeon Pages with more mechanics. And Dungeon Pages is a monstrous game. It has got like 50 different sheets that you can play through. And I think this is going to be the case with this game as well. So you can, or if you've got the Kickstarter, $3 would get you the core set. And then you can also get the year-long set where they send you a new page every single week. Super cool. I really enjoyed the fantasy version, and I'm looking forward to the science fiction version. Up next, we have a big one that seems unlikely to make its way to the channel, purely because there's a lot going on and I have to sort of concentrate while I'm playing. I'm not sure I'm capable of playing the game and recording it at the same time. Too much bandwidth for my brain. So this is Seventh Citadel, which is the sequel to Seventh Continent. Seventh Continent is a very popular game. Maybe it's one that divides people somewhat. Some people seem to hate it. Some people really, really love it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I haven't played it half as much as I would have liked, as is often the case, just physically incapable of finding the time, but that hasn't stopped me from backing Seventh Citadel. And this is really the only real chunky game that I have got coming. It is much like Seventh Continent in that you are exploring a land. I think in this game it's kind of a bit post-apocalyptic. So you're moving around, you are, it's like a choose your own adventure game, but with cards. So you might not be able to see, but each number on the cards relates to another card. So if you're here and you want to go up there, then you look at that card and it tells you what you find, or it adds to the map, or it might add an encounter that you can have on a particular card, and you explore the world that way. So Seventh Citadel has all the best aspects of Seventh Continent. And I think what they mean by that is it's less grindy now. Seventh Continent was criticised by some people for being a bit of a grind. You have to work hard to keep your health up, to make sure that you have food. There's lots of cycling through cards and considering that aspect of the game. And I think this one has toned that down a little bit. So we've got an original post-apocalyptic medieval fantasy universe to discover. We've still got survival, crafting, hunting. Oh, no, tell a lie. Yeah, as it says here, survival is no longer the heart of the game. So that is cool. That might make it easier for someone like me who doesn't have a lot of time to dedicate to pick it up and get properly into it. You make a personal action deck. It's kind of like a deck building game in that sense. That's the same as the previous one. And there's definitely some interesting new mechanics going on here. So you have a character that you're developing, performing actions. There's lots of different actions you can perform depending upon where you are. Now this is where it changes a little bit, interacting with the world and its people. So you've now got NPCs, which was certainly in the bits of Seventh Continent that I've played, less of a thing. You now have a book of dialogues, so you can interact with people to a greater depth, and make choices and alter how the game plays that way. And we've also got this, is this like a skill tree or something? This is brand new. That looks cool. You can build buildings. That's definitely new, and they give you new abilities. And we've actually got a map this time, a fold-out map. In the original game, if you wanted a map, you had to sort of gradually draw it yourself as you explored the continent. But this one, it looks like, comes with a map. So there's lots of cool new stuff there. I'm definitely excited about it. I don't know how I'm going to find time to play it, but I'm going to have a good go. This is 7th Citadel. Next up is Forbidden Psalm, which is a miniature skirmish game that is inspired by and compatible with Morkborg. And I haven't played anything like this before. I've hopefully roped in a friend who's already got some miniatures and maybe some terrain and stuff so that I can play it with them. Recent viewers of the channel will know that I'm sort of building up to playing some Morkborg and that I'm excited about it. When I saw Forbidden Psalm on Kickstarter, I had to get it just because it's mainly just because I feel compelled to buy things. It looks super cool, and I think it's probably, if ever I'm going to get into skirmish games, this might be the one that does it. And there's so much in here. The book is absolutely huge. I've actually already been sent the book. It is here. And there's 2 books, and I think they're both chunky. I mean, this book, the main core book, is, what's that, 180 plus pages? So it's absolutely huge. Got some super cool character sheets. Look at those. They're fantastic. Love it. So this is a narrative skirmish game in that you are making your way through a series of scenarios. So you have scenarios, you have a goal for the scenario, you have a reward, you have some setup instructions, and there's a campaign. So you can optionally play in full campaign mode, work your way through a campaign made of multiple scenarios, and see how you get on. And it's all about this mad wizard called Vripsrix, the Mad Wizard. And so you're working your way through this story where you are, I think Vripsrix is the enemy, or he's hired you. I don't really know, but I'm super excited about it. It's a chunky provision. There's loads and loads of cool stuff in here. The books themselves have that Morkborg frenetic design going on. So there's loads of cool art. Look at that. I think it's being delivered quite soon, The Rat King. And I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it, the physical version, being delivered so I can face the mutant chicken of Kalkoroth there with his laser eyes. Looks like an absolutely bonkers experience, and I'm very, very pleased that I actually broke and backed this one. Believe it or not, there's more stuff that I want to back that I don't than there is stuff that I actually do back. This one, I was like, am I going to end up playing this? Possibly not. And it's like quite a bit of money. But then when I did the maths with the other book that is included as well, they've combined like 3 or 4 previous releases and added new stuff. So for the amount of content you're getting, it was actually good value. Better value if I actually end up playing it. But we will see. That is Forbidden Psalm. And the final game that I'm going to look at here is Kernephalis, which is the new game from Alex T, who is the designer behind Black Oath Entertainment. This is a game designer who just constantly pumps out games. He very kindly sent me a couple of his previous games in the post earlier this year that I'm hoping to get to the channel soon. But I decided to back this one as well, more so than his other games, which are all solo friendly. This, I think, is very much a solo first game, which I think is possibly the first time it's been that explicit in the games that Alex has made. I might be wrong. Condemned to death, executed, yet somehow you survive. Now you roam the endless tunnels of the city below, the Midnight Throne, Kernathalis. Will your skills and wits save you once again, or will you join the countless restless dead? So what we've got here is a standard, well, not standard, certainly a dungeon crawling sort of experience. Alex tends to be quite creative with his mechanics. I haven't looked closely into the mechanics yet, but I'm sure they will be interesting. We have detailed random dungeon generation, providing endless replayability, with an easy-to-use D100 rule set that makes it an ideal game for new solo RPG players. Cool, cool, cool. Meaningful characters with endless combinations. Want to make a warlock that wears heavy armor and summon the dead, or a berserker that casts cold blasts and turns invisible? You can do all that. Then we've got survival mechanics. Alex tends to be quite focused on survival in his games, so you have to sort of balance consumption of stuff and resting and things of that nature. A bestiary with 40 entries and an original dark fantasy setting. This will be one that no doubt that will be up on Drive-Thru RPG before too long. It will be available as a physical product on there, and I think it's going to be worth checking out. I'm definitely going to be looking at it on the channel. We've already been sent a work in progress PDF, which I've got here. It's quite a chunky book. My computer is only just about coping. There's some cool art here. So we've got some cool instructions here for creating your character. Which crime were you accused of? So you've got D20 crimes that you're accused of that landed you within this dungeon. Character attributes, all that sort of stuff. Let's see if we can find the bestiary. Here's 4 Against Darkness style room generation stuff. Instructions on how you explore. So you have an overseer. Corridor description. So I think this is probably a lot more mechanical and restricted than Alex's other games, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. Like he said on the Kickstarter page, it probably makes it very good for new players. We've got some random events, wicked. This is the first time I've looked through this. Lots of random events that could happen. If you roll a 56, as you step into this chamber, you are trapped in reverie. You see your own death clear as day, and a wave of anguish assaults you. You must pass a resolve check or lose D6 sanity, but the next time your health reaches 0, you can ignore the source of damage instead. So you have mechanical stuff, but also quite descriptive, imaginative bits and pieces in the events there. I don't think I'm going to find the bestiary. My computer isn't really coping with this. But as you can see, oh no, here you go, here it is. A cave-bound leech. Brilliant. D6 actions, so that means there is some variability to what they do to you. That is cool. Corpse ants. Death sage. Desiccated crypt guards. Fantastic. Looks really good. I'm super excited about this one, and I think there's just a little bit of art to put in place, and then it will be finished. So there you go, that's Kernathalis. That's the final game I'm going to be covering in this section of the things I'm most anticipating in 2024. So next up, I thought probably I should take a little bit of time to talk about games I have played, but all the solo-focused games that I play and I enjoy do tend to find their way to the channel. Most of these have been featured in a separate summary video, like my 5 solo games for people who don't play role-playing games, or my top 3 games. so I don't really want to spend too much time getting back into them. So just a quick overview of the 5 games that have done well on the channel. That list actually sort of coincides with the games that I have enjoyed quite a bit and I'm looking forward to playing more. So let's just get started. First up, we've got 2D6 Dungeon from Toby Lancaster. Now this is a sort of traditional dungeon crawl game where you are going down through multiple levels, exploring, fighting different things, discovering different rooms, developing and strengthening your character. There's a nice core simplicity to this game in that you're only playing one character. Your one character will only have one weapon, so it feels quite focused as you're playing. You go down through 10 different levels and all the levels have separate tables. Oh no, this is just the level 1 and 2 tables. So you can see that Toby's borderline obsession with providing numerous tables means that you're never going to be able to encounter everything that he has conceived of to be in this game. Just on level 1 we have different prisoners you can encounter. So I think I didn't even encounter any prisoners during my playthrough, but we got 24 different prisoners we can encounter and different things that happen with each of them, different types of exits, interruptions and the unexpected. I think I looked at this table maybe 2 or 3 times. So you've got all the, I mean this is a D66 table, so you've got a whole bunch of random things here, and this is just for level 1, or level 1 and 2 maybe. So let's roll for a random thing, unexpected thing. 34. 34. On a ledge, high up is a golden statue. You can climb for it. If so, you must remain focused. Roll 2d6 and add your discipline. On a 9 or higher, you reach and grab it. On an 8 or lower, you fall and lose 1 HP. You can keep trying. The idol is worth 3d6 gold coins. Now that's useful, gold coins, because you can eventually make your way out of the dungeon, if you wish, to a nearby town. This is the rulebook, by the way. This is the book just full of tables. This is the rulebook. And if you get to the town, you can do various things in the town. You can liberate prisoners that you have helped set free. You can visit the market, buy, sell items, visit the engraver, get some runes carved on your weapon. Some stuff can happen in a tavern. You can do some arm wrestling, etc., etc. Yeah, so that's 2d6 dungeon. You're drawing a dungeon as you go. Here's the small rooms table, just for level 1 again, so there's 10 of these. And then this is the level 1 rooms, standard rooms, another D66 table, and every room has a description, an encounter potentially that would happen in that room, different types of exits. This is the game to get if you want to be surprised and to just have a straightforward dungeon exploration experience, but with a lot of variety, variability, and different monsters you can encounter, things like that. I haven't even shown you the monsters. Those are at the back here. I've got these on cards as well. So these are the level 3 monsters. There's masses of monsters, different for every level. There's a huge amount in this game, and Toby recently kickstarted a new expansion. Well, there's another expansion that I haven't got, which is Lairs, I believe. Lairs of monsters that you can visit and explore. And he's just also released 2d6 Realm, or is working on it at the moment. And that will be the Overland game, which unfortunately I wasn't able to back. I'm sure I'll get it at some point in the future. It's an ongoing experiment or project for Toby, and I think he's got big plans. And already there's a huge amount of game just in these 2 books. So there you go. I covered it this year. It was a successful series of videos, 2d6 Dungeon. Next up is a game that I have talked about quite frequently, I think, at this point. I had it in my video of solo tabletop games for people who don't play RPGs. It is Glide. It is from Cody Barr at Sleepy Sasquatch Games. There's a whole bunch of expansions to it as well. And what this essentially is a science fiction hex exploration game where you are gradually revealing a map as you move around this planet, trying to complete quests, visiting settlements, and using a deck of cards to dictate where you visit on this planet. So if, for example, you drew a red 5, you would find a small hidden safe house. There's a test you can do. If you pass the test, you get a relic and some credits and a quest item. So it's a very mechanical game, but one with quite an evocative setting. Look here, you can upgrade your glider by spending credits and getting new bits and pieces on it. When you go to a settlement, you can have these different encounters, which are cool. I think I've played a bunch of this now, and I've only seen maybe a third of these settlement encounters. I've talked about it a lot, but it was one of my more successful series of the year, so I thought it's worth mentioning again. That's Glide. Next up is Miru. This is the new edition of Miru. On my channel I played the old edition, and I still haven't gotten around to playing this new edition, which makes me a little bit sad, because every time I put this book down on the table in front of me and open it up, I do feel compelled to play, just unfortunately prevented by time. But this is Miru 1. Miru 2 is already available, and the trilogy will be completed when the final book is released on Kickstarter in 2024. So this is a sort of a deconstructed choose-your-own-adventure book to a degree, but one that's got a lot more mechanics to it, and some map drawing mechanics as well. You play someone whose brother is killed by an AI robot in a moderately distant post-apocalyptic future where nature has reclaimed the planet, but there are these mysterious AIs out there who sort of lord it over humanity, which has regressed in terms of technological development. And because your brother is killed by this AI, you take it upon yourself to go and take revenge. And so you're out there exploring the different locations, the mountains, the forests, having different encounters and events occur in those locations. We've got some enemies that we have to fight, and it's a very pleasing game to play. Maybe one that's you're only going to play through a couple of times, or 2, 3, maybe 4 times, but that does not make it any less worth getting. There's a lot of game in this book, and as you can see, it looks absolutely gorgeous. We've got a couple of little dungeony type locations at the back as well. I don't even know how you get to those. That's Miru. It's a fantastic looking book. It's one that I'm really going to try hard to actually get around to playing the new edition of, so I can also play 2 as well. You can see the video for this on my channel. It's another one that came out this year. Harper's Quest is another game that I think I have gone on about quite a bit. This is a solo RPG from Joy Peddler Games, and it's probably the first one that I covered where it really felt like I was playing a more free-form solo RPG. You have to create an adventurer. Not only do you have to create an adventurer, you also have to sort of create your adventure. So it gives you, where are the instructions for generating your quest? Here we go. Super simple. These 2 pages explain how you create a quest and how you go on it. Oh, and this bit as well is about room sequencing, exploring rooms. You have to generate your own enemies in this game. So there is instructions here on how to create enemies, how to create bosses, and then you have to sort of do all the work yourself. I enjoyed covering it on the channel. I had a few interactions with Joy Peddler Games. The guy who runs that is very engaged in the community, and he actually released some additional tables for Harper's Quest 2, having watched my videos, which was kind of cool to see. I'd like to do some more videos using the tables that he has since put together, but I enjoyed it. You can find it on my channel. That's Harper's Quest 2. And the final game that I'm going to cover, unsurprisingly, is Notorious. I think it was right at the start of this year that I did a playthrough of this game. It was quite a successful playthrough, probably the first video that really took off on my channel, and I suspect probably led to a significant number of people who are now subscribers to actually taking that leap and subscribing, and very grateful I am too. It's a game where you are playing a bounty hunter in a Star Wars type universe, kind of like the Outer Rim sort of setting where everything is a little bit like an old western. Things are mostly sort of beaten up and dusty, and you've got cowboy type characters, but also obviously robots and aliens, etc. It's a game that sort of straddles the two ends of the spectrum in terms of solo playing, in that it gives you lots of mechanics to play with, but also asks a lot of questions and encourages a lot of creativity as well. It's beautifully laid out, beautifully designed. It's got some lovely artwork in it, like that. And I think we'll leave it there. It's just a fantastic game. It has a new companion book that's just funded on Kickstarter. I will almost certainly be doing a new playthrough using the new material that's coming out. I'm excited about that being delivered in early 2024. But yeah, if you like science fiction, if you like tables, and if you like generating a sort of tales of bounty hunters in intergalactic backwaters, then this might be something you want to check out. And there is a multi-part playthrough on my channel. So those were the most successful games featured on my channel, and we're going to finish up now with just a few random observations about how the previous year has gone for me personally in the hobby space. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about 3 areas roughly. The first thing is this, my game, Village Emporium. It might not look like much, but for me it felt like a modest achievement to actually put something together, to design a game, to write all of the instructions, which took a long time. It took a long time. I was surprised at how much effort was required, not only to design a game, but then to actually lay out the instructions in a readable and usable format. So I learnt how to use Affinity Publisher. That in itself took a little while. I mean, it wasn't too hard to use, but actually learning how to properly use a publishing program was interesting. These tables took me a while, let me tell you, but I got there in the end. Drawing all the bits and pieces so that it's nice and presentable. It was fun to do. I am very grateful that the game was actually a moderate personal success. It didn't sell like a crazy number of copies, but people have bought it, and that is kind of awesome. And hopefully I will use that momentum to go into 2024 and, fingers crossed, design a game that's a little bit more in-depth than this one. I've got a couple of ideas, but I'm not going to get into those now. I just wanted to highlight this as my first sort of personal hobby victory of 2023. or my last really, because I only finished it and put it out a couple of weeks ago. This is Village Emporium. It's my first game. You can get it on itch.io or DriveThruRPG. I'll put links in the description below if you want to check it out. That's number one. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about my drawing. I've been drawing resources for tabletop gaming now for a couple of years. If you weren't aware, my name that I draw under is Ways Unseen. You can find me on Instagram. I've got a Patreon. There's no doubt that this previous year has been my most successful in terms of producing new material, gaining commissions. I'll talk a little bit about a couple of my commissions in a minute, and also just increasing my number of Patreons. And the more Patreons I get, the more I feel like I have to work harder to give them value for money. So it's been fantastic to see the numbers gradually increasing. What we've got here is a couple of illustrations that I have done for my patrons. I try to give them one larger map a month, and then accompany that with a few smaller maps. Sometimes the larger maps are top-down maps like this, and sometimes they are isometric illustrations like this one. This is one that I actually drew to the specifications of a writer who goes by the pen name of Lexiconical. She's a fantastic writer who I also happen to live with, and she wrote a story, and this map accompanied that story. But like most of the things that I draw, unless they are commissions, they tend to find their way on my Patreon as well. So my Patreons gained access to that one there. And yeah, as I look through these, I realised that I've done quite a lot of stuff for my Patrons this year. I'm a big fan of this sewer map. I was really happy with how that came out. Also did this sort of woodland fort, which is pretty cool. And then lots of little maps as well. So I also did a whole bunch of commissions, some of which you will hopefully be able to see next year. I've got a map in Talamander, which is a gamebook series. I also had this map here, which featured in a one-page tabletop game from Psycho Headcheese. It's a game called Sandworm, which is based on the film Tremors. I was really pleased to have the opportunity to draw something not fantasy set, so it was cool to have that opportunity. I've drawn another map for Psycho Headcheese's role-playing game Crime Fighting Luchadors, so that's on Kickstarter at the moment. It's been fantastic to work with Martin on this project, Crime Fighting Luchadors, and potentially maybe something else as well in the future. So that's been a real benefit, not only the opportunity to draw these pictures and to have them feature in games and to give them to my patrons and things like that. It's been fantastic to also be able to work with some great people to augment their projects and to contribute to their projects. People like Martin at Psycho Headcheese, but also like Tim Brown, who is the designer, writer of the Talamander Gamebook magazine series. It's just really cool to be able to do that. So that is the drawing aspect of stuff. And finally, I want to just talk about this channel itself. And so I don't have a completely blank screen while I'm doing it, I've just thrown in these items which were on my table that I've acquired in the last week or so. Psychorg, which is a Kickstarter I backed, and a couple of Christmas presents. I think I probably asked for them. I definitely asked for them. Greedy Gifts of the Guildmasters, which is a 4 Against Darkness expansion, and one of the new fighting fantasy choose your own adventure books. There's a couple of new ones written a couple of years ago, I think, and this is one of those. So with those there to look pretty, just a brief thank you to everyone who has subscribed, who's watched my videos, some of you insanely all the way to the end, those of you who've shared my videos, who've commented multiple times on videos and posts I've put here on YouTube. Thank you very, very much. I did not expect this channel to be as successful as it has been so far. Over the course of the last year, I've increased by 3,000 subscribers. So we've gone from less than 1,000 and we're just coming up to 4,000 fairly soon. Had over 160,000 views, which boggles the mind. So it's really cool to have the opportunity to share these kinds of games, especially when it is small game designers. Almost all of the games I cover are from small independent game designers, and it's just a real thrill and pleasure to be able to support those designers, to showcase their work, and to be a part of this community. So I think I'll leave it there. If somehow you are still watching, thanks very much. Maybe drop a comment below this video. Let me know of all the plethora of things I have covered in this video. What do you want to see the most? Is there anything that I haven't played and mentioned here that you have played, you think would be a good fit? What should I prioritise? What are you looking forward to in 2024? What is there on the crowdfunding platforms, or what are your favourite designers working towards? Let me know, because I'm sure there's some stuff I have missed. So let's look forward to 2024 and all of the cool gaming experiences that we're going to have. Thank you very much for watching. See you very soon for another playthrough, no doubt. Bye for now.